Guys, welcome. This is going to be a super short and brief webinar between Neo Agent and TimeZest. Some of you already use TimeZest today, some of you don't. If you don't, you should check it out. Eric will tell you a lot of good things about it. But we will go ahead and show a quick demo of how Neo and TimeZest work together, and then just answer any questions. Like I said, this will be super short and sweet. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, we'll do quick intros of myself and Eric. So my name is Nick. I'm the founder and CEO here at Neo. Also, I wear two hats, one as the CEO and one as a senior engineer on the team. And I've got Eric, who's a sales manager here at TimeZest. Eric, do you want to just do a quick intro about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Eric Brown. Was the first employee at TimeZest. Formerly had a 10-year-long stint at ConnectWise as a very early hire there. So we know that PSA well, but we are PSA agnostic. So right now, ConnectWise, Autotask, and Halo, we love them all. And TimeZest itself was built to solve a really basic problem that was on the ConnectWise roadmap for quite a while, which is there's no scheduling integration. So we have about 1,100 MSPs using us now, and every one of them started in the position of my tickets are spooling out and aging because we're playing phone and email tag with customers versus saying, as part of the workflow, which we'll show you, here's a calendar, pick a slot, done through workflow, and we'll see you, Mr. Customer, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So that's the core use case that we solve for.
That's awesome. I didn't know it was on ConnectWise's roadmap. I guess it still is. But TimeZest does it better.
People way back when weren't sure what to ask for. So everyone said, do you have calendar integration? Do you have booking integration? Which those tools don't work because they don't work with the PSA. They don't update tickets. They don't change statuses. They don't do anything there with workflow. And sometimes trying to use those tools with the PSA create more problems than they actually solve. So that's why TimeZest was created.
That's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so we already have a few partners who are using Neo and TimeZest. So most of you guys are Neo users. Obviously, you know Neo pretty well. Our goal at the company is to produce the first fully autonomous level 1 technician. And Neo is meant to function as a very easy to use automation platform for MSPs. It doesn't feel like a traditional RPA platform. It mostly feels like you spinning up AI agents, giving them instructions, giving them access to a bunch of tools, and then going off and doing the work. And Eric just gave a great spiel about TimeZest as well, which some of you, I think, use today. But to showcase a very quick overview on how Neo and TimeZest integrate with each other, we'll show two examples. The first examples, these are very extremely simplistic tickets, but what we'll show you is how Neo can read the incoming tickets, understand the context of the issue. It can also decide to dispatch this ticket to an individual technician, and then use TimeZest to send the technician's calendar to the end user so they can book a time in that text calendar. Again, like without any human interaction, we can get Neo to interface with TimeZest to do this. The second is you may have a scenario where an on-site technician needs to go out to the customer. In that case, we can get Neo to, again, intelligently decide, okay, this is a ticket that needs some kind of on-site support. So I need to send out a TimeZest scheduling link that relates to our on-site engineering team. So we're going to see these two scenarios in action. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up a video here. And this is how you would set it up. So the first thing to do is we do have a new TimeZest tab in the Neo Agent dashboard. So you can just go to integrations, have a look at TimeZest. Super easy to integrate. You just put in your API key from TimeZest, whatever that is, give it read and write permissions, copy that API key, put it into Neo, and you're done. That's pretty much all you need. But in Neo, we're going to do two things. We're going to set up a simple dispatch workflow that will be able to dispatch a ticket to a tech, and we'll set up an agent that can intelligently use TimeZest and the dispatch workflow to send out scheduling links. So again, when you're using Neo, you can always use templates to create workflows super easily. The first thing we'll do is we'll set up a dispatch workflow. If you use the Neo dispatch smart action before, you can just select from a pool of technicians, and Neo can decide based on a lot of criteria, such as similar tickets in the past. It can look at things like whether these technicians are skilled at working the actual ticket. And then we can get Neo in this workflow to assign the ticket to the technician. So that's workflow one done. The second thing we'll set up is an agent. If you still don't know much about the difference between agents and workflows, the best way to think about it is workflows are simple things that you want to happen to a ticket every single time without any complex reasoning logic. So you may want tickets to always be triaged in a certain way or always be dispatched in a certain way. That's the purpose of our smart actions. They just execute sequentially, and that's the purpose of workflows. Agents are meant to function as intelligent L1 techs, which are not human and can actually think before taking a specific path to resolve an issue. So with this agent, we'll set it up in the usual way. It will trigger when the ticket is created. And there is a comprehensive set of instructions we're going to give this agent. So this agent will be able to do one of three things. So when a ticket is created, it will be able to clarify whether any further information is required. Maybe the issue is vague and we need to clarify this with the end user. The second thing is it will be able to send out a dispatch the ticket to a tech and send out a TimeZest scheduling link. Or the third thing is send out a Teams TimeZest scheduling link. Now, in the second option, obviously, if this is a ticket that doesn't require on-site service, we can dispatch this to a tech, understand who Neo thinks is the best tech, and send out a TimeZest like skip based on that. Or the other option is someone needs to go on site, maybe replace a printer, replace some kind of hardware device on site, and Neo needs to work that accordingly. But we'll go ahead, this agent will be set up. The way agents work in Neo is for them to actually be able to do this stuff. You need to give them access to tools. And in this case, we'll give Neo access to add internal ticket notes, add a client-facing note, create. You could just with one click, you can get Neo to create a TimeZest scheduling link. That's it. There's no other configuration required. We do also want Neo to be able to trigger the agent here to be able to trigger the dispatch workflow. So if the agent decides based on the issue to assign this to a specific tech, it can just very easily go ahead and make this dispatching decision. Awesome. So this agent is going to be created. Now we are going to create a dummy ticket in ConnectWise. Again, very simplistic issue. Some end user is having an issue with Outlook and probably needs someone to jump on the line with them to figure out what's going on. So once that ticket is created, the PSA talks directly to Neo and Neo gets to work. So this agent is triggered to work every time a ticket is created. And it takes about a few seconds to start up before the agent gets to work. Now, if we look into the decision steps of the agent, we could see a bunch of things happening. And agents are always able to think and reason about what to do, which is why we have this thinking tab here. And these tool calls are defined as actions the agent is taking. So the first action it wants to take is actually dispatch the ticket to a technician. and that's when it's triggering another workflow. In this case, it triggered the dispatch workflow we set up, and the result is the suggested technician to work on this issue is Lewis. So Lewis is the person who Neo thought is best placed to work on this ticket. Okay. Now that Lewis is assigned, you can see the agent here interacting with the TimeZest instance to get a list of resources, a list of appointment types that are set up, and also create the TimeZest link. So it is able to create the relevant TimeZest link with the right appointment ID, update the status of the ticket to in progress, and also send out a client-facing note saying, hey, Mr. End User, feel free to use this TimeZest link to schedule an appointment with our assigned tech. And you get a nice message that Neo has written, sent out to the end user to that effect. And so what the end user could do is just click on that link, choose a time, and now you have the end user and the assigned technician synced for a time to work on the issue. That's the first scenario. Now, if we consider the second scenario, where end user may require on-site support, and in this case, we're simulating a ticket where a office printer needs to be replaced. Again, we'll get that ticket to be created. As soon as that ticket is created, second run execution gets to work. We can see here, agent is reasoning about the ticket, listing times as appointment types, resources, and it doesn't, in this case, the same agent has decided not to dispatch this to a specific tech. So it's important to note that agents on every execution can decide based on the context of the issue, they can come up with a different resolution path. So it's important to note that these agents don't work deterministically. They can take on a path of their own. And if you give them good enough instructions, they work pretty well. And so in this case, we can see that the TimeZest link that it wanted to create was a team TimeZest link. And it's now constructing a TimeZest link for the engineering team because it realizes that this ticket requires an in-person appointment. And so again, in the same way, it can update the status of the ticket to in progress and send out another nice message to the customer to say, if we see that happen in the ticket, to say, hi end user, thanks for this. And now the link here, as soon as the customer opens that link is for a team. That is not for a specific person, because Neo thought, hey, I shouldn't dispatch this ticket to a specific person. This requires in-person support, on-site support. Therefore, I must create a TimeZest scheduling link to that effect. And again, in the same way, the end user can go ahead and schedule out a appointment. And it's really as simple as that. As soon as you hook up your TimeZest API into Neo, Neo can read everything to do with TimeZest, such as appointment types. It can read resources, and this works super well with the existing dispatch workflow. And so you can get those links scheduled out immediately. So that's pretty much it. That was a super, again, like I said, we're going to do a series of these super short demos over the next few weeks about how you can use Neo and how you can use Neo in conjunction with other third-party systems to set up super short but powerful workflows. Eric, I don't know if you wanted to add anything, but we can open it up to the audience to see if they have any questions, but feel free to jump in with anything else.
No, that's perfect. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, very, very well said. I also noticed your example end user on your ticket, out of all the places in the world, was based in Clearwater, Florida, which is where I actually live. So good one there. Thumbs up on that. What we try to stress in these is that um, there's a lot of excellent workflow. There's a lot of excellent integration. You went over the difference between a team of technicians versus an individual tech, and there's several different ways that we work with a team. But in the end, the most important person in the loop needs to be the end user, right? All of the automation needs to love the customer, and it has to be a great experience for them. And so when Neo, through its workflow, is sending the TimeZest link to the customer, what we're doing is we're giving Lisa, the end user, options to choose a time. And then once she goes ahead and chooses, that goes back to the ticket, right? So what happens with a lot of tools in the MSP space is they schedule the technician, or they put an appointment on the technician's calendar, and then the technician ends up with 10 appointments and they run long on two, and it pushes the full day. And the customer is basically left miserable and waiting and not sure what the next step is. And so we always tap the ball, like tennis, right? We tap the ball to the end user first, the customer first, and say, if Friday is the best day for you and 8:30 is the best time, right? And this is the one piece that's the end of it, then that's fine. For the MSP, they've met their SLA, they've met their times for response and also time to resolution, right? Once Neil has sent the link to the customer and let them choose, we've met the terms of our agreement. And then there's a couple of other extra pieces here, where we can say, hey, would you like to give us a phone number? Again, this is the end user side where they're scheduling. If it picks up this piece of information, then it writes it to the contact record in the PSA, which is very handy for the MSP because it saves that contact info for later. There's also examples, in Nick's example, we're scheduling an on-site, right, versus scheduling a remote meeting. And so this is all configurable in TimeZest. We can give the end user the option to reschedule the appointment and go back through the loop if they need to. We can give them the option to cancel, or in the case of an on-site, we can say we want to prevent you from canceling if a truck is already rolling, or we need to set up parameters around on-site visits where we need 24 to 48 hours before we can actually roll a truck. This is part of the reason that TimeZest gives you unlimited options to create appointment types. And I'm on a very small screen here, so I just want to make sure you can see, right? Everything gets
Yeah, we can see.
communicated to the end user. Here's the date and time that you chose. This is when you'll be meeting with your technician, or you were scheduled with a team of technicians, tier 1, tier 2, and the tech you were assigned was based on the time choice you made. We'll give you the option based on the type of appointment to reschedule or cancel. And the greatest thing about it is we're over communicating to the end user. They're never left wondering what's going on. They aren't forced to sit and stare at their teams all day to wait for a notification to pop up where the tech is ready but the end user is not, right? Everyone's busy, everyone has a full calendar. TimeZest just puts the end user first, gives them first right of refusal in the loop, and the goal is to get your tickets closed and resolved faster versus them aging out because you're playing phone and email tag. Make sense?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and I know some of you guys today who are in the call already use Neo's dispatch functionality to schedule entries in the technician's calendar. Well, in the case, like Eric mentioned, in the case where we need to jump on a call with the user, you can turn that setting off in Neo. So Neo just makes the dispatch decision, but then sends out the TimeZest link. So you reduce this back and forth, reduce all of this ping pong, and you get a nice entry in the calendar that is chosen by the end user. And obviously it's synced to when the technician is available. So yeah, Eric, thanks for that. Thanks for that quick overview.
You bet.
We got less than 10 minutes left. So we can open it up to questions. If anyone's got any questions, by the way, you can just put it in the Q&A tab. And Rosie will, from our side, will fill them for us. This will be recorded, by the way, and circulated on YouTube and social media if anyone wants to rewatch this. If no questions, we can keep this. We can give everyone back about 8 minutes. Does anyone else have any other questions? I know we are right at the end. If not, we can close it. Like I said, this will be recorded.